to just say that we're not nation building, no, we are. We've now spent $300 billion in Afghanistan using tactics like provincial reconstruction teams, where we're literally building towns. We're propping up this, rated the second most corrupt government in the world, the Karzai government. Corruption is just rife in Afghanistan. It is a tribal, segregated region that 2,500 years of human history has shown cannot be tamed by outsiders. From Alexander the Great to the Turks, 3 times the British tried. 3 times. And
Soviets were unsuccessful.
And then the Soviets. And then the Soviets. Ironically, the Soviets had 140,000 troops there when they were forced to pull out. Today we have 140,000 troops in Afghanistan, 100,000 Americans and 40,000 Allied troops. This, as a conservative, a strong tradition of non-interventionism in the Republican Party. Goldwater, Reagan, Eisenhower got elected on getting us. He got us out of Korea. Nixon got elected on getting us out of Vietnam, and even George W. Bush got elected in 2000 on non-interventionism. And then Iraq and Afghanistan. We can't afford it. We are not making us. We're making us less safe. We're destabilizing Pakistan, and we cannot. And the most common argument I get, it's not even a good argument. It's like, well, we've lost too many soldiers to pull out now. And my heart breaks when I hear that's coming from people who profess to be conservatives. That's not a reason to maintain a presence. We can't do this for ego. We have to do it for one reason: to protect Americans' life and liberty. That's it. The amount of interference that the federal government has put into the economy has put us into the position we are in now. Everything from the massive spending, the deficit spending, to the taxes and regulations that don't allow we as the citizens and our small businesses to help us rise out of this slump that we're in. So I say we have to get the government out of the way of the private sector, of the free market, of everybody, all Americans working together to lift this economy out. We spend over $1 trillion overseas, Marcus, every year. $1 trillion. And we can't pay our debt to China. We can't do what we need here. We can't secure our borders. We're not keeping Americans safe. And we're spending $1 trillion in overseas, both in maintaining our foreign adventures, plus the wars, plus all the federal, and that also includes the international welfare, basically, all the aid to all these countries. It's preposterous. We can't do it. It doesn't matter if we want to. We can't. Government intervention comes in 2 flavors: taxation and regulation. If you are a businessman and I'm the government and I come and take your money and then spend it somewhere else, that is a redistribution of wealth.
I assume that means you also oppose cap and trade, or what some call cap and tax.
I do, adamantly, vociferously.
Do you believe that global warming is a hoax, or do you think man is incapable of doing anything about climate change?
I believe that man-made global warming is greatly overstated.
Let's move on to the Second Amendment. On your website, you state that our nation's founders dedicated a constitutional amendment to the right to keep and bear arms. Is evidence that they were concerned about government's tendency to infringe on this fundamental right as a free person. To give credence to the individual's rights of life and liberty, one must acknowledge the individual's right to defend life and liberty. This is why the Second Amendment exists. I will not waver in my support and defense of the entire U.S. Constitution, including the Second Amendment. Sounds like from that statement that you might be the type of individual that believes that the original intent of the Second Amendment was to ensure that people were armed if the federal government ever became oppressive. Am I right or wrong in that assessment?
Well, I mean, that's documented. They viewed government as oppressive. There's no secret about that. And yeah, I couldn't have said that better myself. So.
Are you an NRA or Gun Owners of America member?
I am an NRA, and after their recent shenanigans, I think I'm also going to join the GOA. So, yeah.
As a congressman, are you going to work to cut the federal strings attached to money going to the states?
Well, I'm going to work to cut federal spending, period. And of course, the strings attached are always the devil in the details. That is my nature, is to not, I hate strings attached. I'm the only candidate in District 8 who refused to let the RNCC have intimate access to my campaign. The other guys all joined the Young Guns program, and that's fine, but there's a fundamental, and ultimately there's a question that must be asked and answered by the candidate, and that is, when you win, who is pulling your strings? And my loyalty is to the Constitution, and my accountability will be to the voters of District 8. And so whether or not the NRCC, it's their way, ultimately they control a lot of the money. And that is what drives politics, and that's fine. I'm just adamant that my money and my support needs to come from the voters in my district, because that's who I need to answer to. We need to not keep encouraging people to come here illegally with things like the anchor baby phenomenon, federal welfare, and the promise of amnesty. This is not right. Americans understand that you need to wait in line, and it's a fairness. You wait in line and come here. Why don't we put our Border Patrol on the border? Not 20 miles in, not 50 miles in. Border security will come from putting our Border Patrol on the border.
Will you vote no on any bills that raise the federal debt ceiling?
Yes.
What would you do as a congressman to reduce the existing federal debt?
Well, there's almost no place there is no place that is immune from a cut. Let's look at the constitutionally required departments. There are 4. Currently we have 15. There are constitutionally mandated 4: Justice, Treasury, Defense, and State. So, but even those need budget cuts. But then you look at all the other ones. And let's just start, of course, with the boondoggles that are the Departments of Education and Energy. You don't have to agree with my philosophy that that federal government has no place in those departments. All you need to do is look at the lack of success of those departments. What were they started for? Education, to improve the education of children. It's a morass. Look at what the Department of Energy was started to do, to make us independent of foreign oil. Complete failure. We need to move toward single-issue bills, and one of the greatest ways we can do that is require reading of the bill on the floor of the House. So everybody, and if you're not there to listen to it, you don't get to vote for it. That would number one, they wouldn't be writing 2,000-page bills. No one wants to read 2,000 pages. And what you'd have was single-issue bills. We're not going to vote for a defense appropriations bill, and it's going to include, the bridge to nowhere, literally the bridge to nowhere. That's crazy. That's not representative government. That's not accountability, transparency, and responsibility.
Some Tea Partiers and some voters are in a blind anti-incumbency rage. Now, you've never held public office before, correct?
I have not.
As a congressman, are you going to be opposing bills that contain unfunded mandates, or will you work to ensure that the states are provided with the requisite funding?
Well, obviously, if there is something mandated from the federal government, it should retain the required funding. But the first question that needs to be asked is the bill or what's in the bill constitutional? So often, in fact, too often, it's not. And so regardless of what the issue is, it has to pass constitutional muster first.
Understood. Would you consider yourself a social conservative, a fiscal conservative, both, or neither?
I always define conservatism the same way, because we have to be conserving something, right? Politically, we have to conserve the Constitution. And so I am a constitutional conservative Republican. And that, I believe we need a definition for the very reason you said, because the term is overused. Everybody's a conservative nowadays, right? Because it's the in thing.
Right.
But we have to conserve one thing, and politically that has to be the Constitution.
Do you think we need a constitutional amendment to keep marriage between a man and a woman, or what do you think the federal government should be doing to prevent any full faith and credit difficulties that we have when same-sex couples from other states come to Arizona?
Federal government should have no role in this. This goes back to my argument that even if it was something that we might like, okay, we're going to protect the traditional definition of marriage. Remember what we're actually doing. We're giving the federal government jurisdiction over our lives and our culture and our social interactions. As true conservatives, we shouldn't do that. This is an argument that we can have outside the scope of government and law.
Why should the voters choose Brian Miller over the other candidates in the August 24th primary?
Constitutional conservatism equals individual freedom, and I have the best chance to beat Gabby.